This brief talk is part of a larger article in which I argue that the rationalizing aspects of information systems, specifically knowledge management systems, can illuminate current struggles to define emerging disciplines as explicit knowledge that can contribute to disciplinary capital, as well as to the general intellectual, social, and economic capital at the university. Here I will present just some aspects of my larger argument, and, unfortunately, I will not be talking about digital humanities here. An important attribute of traditional management systems is that they can control the tangible assets of an organization. A standard example of an MIS is that of an inventory control system, in which the resources of an organization are monitored. If the labor of employees is taken into account and the flows of goods and money is also observed, management can also make a determination of the way that resources should be allocated within an organization. Successful management of assets can then increase the economic capital of an organization. The accumulation of this capital, in turn, can increase the standing of a company with respect to other establishments. Hence, with the accumulation of economic capital, institutional capital, or worth, of an organization can be increased. In knowledge management systems, not only are economic and institutional capital enhanced, but intellectual capital is created as well. Camille Delcaire defines intellectual capital as, quote, represented by the sum total of what employees of an organization know and know how to do. In place of giving particular skills to employees, on the other hand, university academics, in the words of sociologist of academia Burton Clark, quote, use what they know in practical ways to help other parts of society. They engage in direct action, unquote. Academic organizations have as one of their key missions the creation and dissemination of knowledge. Hence, the close relationship between the dynamics of economic, social, and intellectual capital is central to their operation. As social organizations, furthermore, one of the university's functions is to define what counts as legitimate knowledge in their curriculum. This process of identification and definition serves to create another form of capital, that is, disciplinary capital. An understanding of the way that disciplinary capital is created can be enhanced by considering the work of Pierre Bourdieu. Bourdieu, one of the most important sociologists of the 20th century, spent considerable energy examining different forms of capital and their role in structuring social institutions, especially higher learning establishments. At the risk of simplifying his subtle analysis of the structure of the social world, the treatment of capital here will abstract it from some of his other categories of investigation. Capital, for Bourdieu, is not solely identified with forms of monetary exchange. He states, capital can present itself in three fundamental guises: as economic capital, which is immediately and directly convertible into money and may be institutionalized in the form of property rights; as cultural capital, which is convertible on certain conditions into economic capital and may be institutionalized in the forms of educational qualifications; and as social capital, made up of social obligations, connections, which are convertible in certain conditions into economic capital and may be institutionalized in the forms of a title of nobility. For Bourdieu, the last forms of capital, cultural and social, can be directly linked to education. For example, in a basic way, cultural capital can be enhanced by possessing a particular university degree or attending an elite institution of higher learning. The attributes of cultural capital, in turn, can give the individual possessing them higher status in a given society. But are these forms of capital the only result of the organizational processes of the university? The definition and establishment of disciplines within the university setting might also have the potential, as in the other forms of capital that Bourdieu cites above, to be converted into other assets that may benefit an individual or institution. In effect, value that has some kind of force or power that can be ascribed to areas of study that are institutionalized and legitimated within organizations of higher learning can be considered as disciplinary capital. The term disciplinary capital has appeared in the literature about universities, but the use of the term is generally more elusive than descriptive. In a complementary fashion, I hold that on a cognitive and institutional level, disciplines can become categories of knowledge that have attributes attached to them. An important attribute is that of value. For example, in the contemporary United States, there is a perception among some members of society that pursuing studies in science, technology, engineering, or mathematical, that is, STEM disciplines, is more valuable than gaining competence in classical languages. Within a particular university environment, STEM disciplines, because they are valued more than many other subjects by administrators and some faculty, are able to command resources that other academic fields cannot. Disciplines are valued by agents within and outside the university organizational system, hence they have value to individuals and groups of individuals. The value associated with disciplines that are the result of decisions made within an organization, in organizational higher learning, can be termed, as I've said before, disciplinary capital. Like its companion term, intellectual capital, disciplinary capital can relate to the three general types of capital identified by Bourdieu. It is associated with economic capital since at least the subject matter of some disciplines can create wealth in a society. One of the results of disciplinary capital is that students can pursue certain courses of study that give them the educational qualifications of cultural capital. Finally, institutions that offer certain disciplines that are highly valued by society can increase their social capital or standing. In short, disciplinary capital is manifested in the social, economic, and cultural effects that an institutional field of study can have. Thank you for listening.